Okay.
Hi, everyone. So thank you for joining us today to Pre-Law Shadowers. So in this session, we have Kayla Stephenson with us, who is a paralegal, mediator, arbitrator, as well as adjudicator. So Kayla, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Hi, everyone. Thank you for coming to the session this morning. So my name is Kayla Stephenson. I'm a paralegal, not licensed, and I'll get into that maybe later this morning. I'm a mediator, arbitrator, and I'm training to be an adjudicator. I own a business called Kaye Legal and Mediation Services. And I think that's all I can say for now. I'll get into more of what I've done and what I do in this session.
Okay, sounds great. So this will sort of be like a timeline of like your entire career. So we'll start so we'll start off at the very beginning. So with your undergrad. So can you tell us like what program you did, what courses you did, or like what courses did you study in your undergrad program and at which university?
So I want to start with the fact that I went to college.
Oh,
So I went to Humber College way back when, and I took a course called Court and Tribunal Agent. So now the course is called Paralegal or Paralegal Studies. Some people are able to take college courses before they go to university and pursue further education. I would recommend that if that's something that someone is able to do financially or not, because of the experiences that I experienced there. So at the college level, there's a lot more, I think that there's a lot more hands-on opportunities that you can have. As well as the teachers. One of my teachers that I had in my landlord and tenant course, who was also a landlord and tenant board adjudicator, I later, years down the road, I ended up working with his brother, who was a sitting judge. When I worked at Old City Hall in the courts. So that was definitely a great conversation starter and also a great experience to see your teacher at work, so to say. So I'm not really here to, tell people what courses to take or what courses not to take. I kind of took the courses and went to the schools that I was comfortable with and that I wanted to go to. And I think that one of those things is just to do what you want and do what you feel is necessary to do. If university is the only choice and you're not able to do some college courses like legal courses and university, I will talk about later about other things that can help get everyone involved. I do want to say that I am a Humber Hawk, and so Humber College and University of Guelph Humber is a college and university of my choice.
okay, sounds good. Yeah, I heard that like with colleges there, because each classroom is almost like 20 to 30 students, and so it's hands-on as well, and so you get great experience, like, and you get to meet with your professor and like your teacher. You could talk to them easily, whereas in university you'd have like a class of 1,000 students where it's like really hard to even talk to your professor.
It is very different. So when I was in college, we had a field trip, kind of like high school, so to say, where we
Mhm.
were able to go down to the landlord and tenant board on Shepherd Avenue and this was pre-COVID, of course, and sit in the court and watch our teacher go through the day at the tribunal. I thought that was an excellent
Wow.
opportunity. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think it's great that like pursuing law, I think is an amazing thing to do. These are just little tips that maybe you can do, but I do have some extra things that people will be able to do. We'll talk about that soon.
Okay, yes, of course. And so usually when people think of like working in the legal field, they automatically think of like becoming a lawyer. And so like at one point in your life, did you decide that you wanted to pursue a legal career in mediation? And like what sort of inspired you to do that?
Okay, so that's a good question. So I always knew I wanted to be in the legal profession. So the women in my family are involved in the legal profession. So my mother is involved in the legal system. And my sister is also a lawyer, a very well-known lawyer. So as a young lady, that's definitely something I wanted to pursue since I was young. So the cliche, in high school, those law courses, I don't know what everybody else's story was, but I loved law in high school. And I actually saw my high school law teacher when I was working. I worked in the Brampton courts. So when I got a job there, she was taking her class there, like we went when I was in her class, and that was a great conversation starter as well. I said, "Hi, Miss. I work here now," and that was great for her to show her class, like, this is my student, and this is where you can end up one day. Um, so that was my law starting, like that's what I wanted to do. So now mediation. So when I went to college, and I base all of my experiences there because that's where I started. So when I went to college, I had a mediation course in college, and my mediation teacher, I now remember her name because this was such a long time ago. So her name is Samantha Callow. So I don't know if I've seen her recently. Online and involved in the mediation stuff. So she was my mediation teacher, amazing mediation teacher. I love mediation. That was one of my best classes. I loved it. After I left, before I went back to school, I just got a job in the courts and just kind of went away with that. So years later, I came back to mediation. I was introduced to ADRIO, which is Alternative Dispute Resolution Institute of Ontario. And I was introduced to mediation again. And I was like, wow, so this is great. I think I can do something with this. So I got involved with ADRIO. I got involved with FIDRIO, which is Family Dispute Resolution Institute of Ontario. And I started doing many things with them. I started my business. I actually celebrated my business's birthday. I love birthdays. So my business turned 5 years, I think, last week. So I started my business 5 years ago, and here I am.
Oh my God, that's amazing. Congratulations on your
Thank
5-year
you.
birthday.
Thank you.
And so you said you went back to mediation. Were there any extra like studies you had to do, or like was there like a license that you had to get?
That's a good question. So there are mediation courses. So there's various mediation courses that you can take. I went to York University. I went to Riverdale Mediation, Helen Lightstone Mediation. So I took all these courses, and I also went to, oh my gosh, I can't remember their name now. There was another mediation course that I took. So there are mediation courses. So mediation, just like paralegals and lawyers, they're regulated by the Law Society. So mediators are not regulated yet. So, but it's a good idea to get these courses in and get your qualifications. So now if you go on the Alternative Dispute Resolution website of Ontario website, the process to get licensed as a qualified mediator, qualified arbitrator is now on hold until September. I think they're changing it around because it was difficult in the past for mediators to get their qualifications. So I'm assuming that they're getting things together to make it more accessible to everybody. And you had mentioned before that, correct me if I'm wrong, that you don't need to be a lawyer to be a mediator, or you don't need to be a paralegal to be a mediator. You could just have alternative dispute resolution skills or want to sharpen your skills in order to be a better mediator.
Okay, that's great then, because I've always been interested in mediation, but I wasn't really sure how the process worked, or would they need to be a lawyer or like have experience first? and then do
No,
it, but that's great.
right. Right. No, you don't need to be one, but if you are a lawyer, or if you are a paralegal, I think that having a mediation course or taking a mediation course or having some type of mediation background will help yourself deal with your clients and the other party, as well as it's just an extra skill that you can have. And there's nothing wrong with lawyers with many skills or paralegals with many skills. Mediation is definitely one of those skills that you should have under your belt.
Okay, yeah, that's great. And so you said that your business had a 5-year birthday. Is that the same business as K Legal and Mediation Services, or are they different businesses?
Yes, it's the same one. Yes.
Okay, that's great. So I was wondering if you can like speak a little bit more about it and like um what are the services that you offer and such things like that.
Okay, so it started when I started the business. I was just I used myself as a contractor to other businesses. So I worked at the oh my gosh, it's so early. My brain's
I
not
know,
working right
yeah.
now.
No worries,
Um,
take your time.
so I contracted and worked for oh my gosh, where is it? I want to say Ontario Review Board, but it's not. It's the Consent and Capacity Board. So that's another thing about the legal profession. There's a lot more than just criminal law to the legal profession. So the Consent
Yeah.
and Capacity Board quickly is for people that have been diagnosed with a mental health condition, and they're in a hospital. So you have to go to court to get a judge to sign for this person to go to the hospital, stay in the hospital, get treatment. So the Consent and Capacity Board is when a panel of adjudicators decides whether a person should be released or not. So there's lawyers there, and there can also be paralegal representatives there at the Consent and Capacity Board. So what I did was I did the minutes for the board hearings. So I contracted myself to a business who contracted themselves to the Consent and Capacity Board to do that. So that's how my business started. I also did some reporting. I believe it was network mediation. So other lawyers, people with accident benefit issues and any kind of mediation, they would go to this place pre-COVID, and we would all sit in and I would do the minutes for those mediations as well. So that's how my business started years ago. It's now kind of pivoted and turned into, I'm kind of like a contract hub. So because I've met a lot of lawyers, a lot of paralegals, a lot of legal assistants, law clerks throughout my career, I kind of stay connected with those people and I help them find opportunities. So I work with lawyers, I worked with licensed paralegals, and I work with members of the public to help them find the legal representation that they need. So that's kind of where my business is at right now. And there's some types of, I'm not able to practice certain types of law. So my business for myself is strictly mediation, but I do also provide other services. And with students and stuff like that, I can connect them with lawyers that might need a little help, paralegals that might need a little help. So definitely, that's where my business has grown. And now that it's 5 years, it will probably pivot again into something else. We'll see.
Okay, that's great. And I also noticed that you had a podcast as well.
I forgot about that. So
Yes,
it's new.
a woman of many businesses.
So it's new. So I put
Uh-huh.
my podcast under my business. So
Mhm.
it's related to my business. And I connected with Voce Legal Services. Hello. And we did a podcast, I believe it was 2 months ago now. And we talked about the Derek Chauvin trial. And we talked about jury duty. So jury duty. So both Eileen and I, we worked as registrars, so court registrars in the Superior Court of Justice, downtown Toronto. So I worked in many different courts. So I worked in Brampton Court, I worked at Old City Hall, and I worked at 361. So in that profession, I assembled juries. So that was one of the most amazing experiences of my life. And that is one of the things that I would also recommend to law students or future people that are interested in starting a legal career, or kind of, they're in school, they're in there, to go to the ontario.ca website and look for, they're now called court and client representatives, but my position was a court registrar in the Superior Court, or you can work as a clerk in the Ontario Court. It's an amazing experience. So as a registrar, I assembled juries, and the amount of people that don't like jury duty amazes me. I can't do jury duty. I have legal training. There's other people, we talked about it in the podcast, the people that can do jury duty, the people that can't do jury duty, and what's involved in jury duty. And it's a lot more than just sitting down and watching a boring trial. So that was the beginning of my podcast. So the background for my podcast is pretty much like, what's on your mind in the legal profession? What do you go through? What do you want to vent about? So it's kind of like a venting podcast, where people in the legal profession have issues and they just want to talk about it. So with this specific one, Eileen was thinking, like, jury duty is great. It's not terrible. So we went into talking about what's involved. Some juries are paid. Some people don't know those types of things. So we just wanted to alert the public, to let them know that, this is your duty as a Canadian citizen, to join a jury, and to do that if you get the opportunity. So going forward, my podcast will be about venting, venting about the legal profession, not necessarily in a bad way, but venting in a way to let the members of the public know, this is what we really do. This is who we really are. This is kind of stuff that we can talk about that goes on behind the scenes that you should be aware of, because it's not all what it looks like on TV.
Yeah, no, for sure.
My next podcast will be, sorry about that. So my next podcast will be a little bit more personal, and it will be, it's going to be about an experience that I experienced a little while ago. Actually, it's my 10-year anniversary for that. So 10 years ago, that I never spoke about before, but I'm willing to share it with the public, because the public needs to be knowledgeable about, there's some types of things and issues that people might be going through. And they push through, and they end up being the person that they are today. So that's going to be my next podcast.
Oh, wow, that's amazing. And so you did mention that you helped to pick out like juries and jurors. So how, like, I know that you said you can just find them on the ontario.ca, but like, was there specific education that you had to attain to get that position? Or
that's a good question. I just think that I think it's like an entry level. When I started, it's an entry level position where they will train you. So as long as you have some type of legal knowledge, or are interested in the legal field genuinely, then you can apply. I don't think you don't need to have, any legal background at all, actually. And you just, so there are some open positions. They're not, some of them are in the Toronto area, some of them are not, for those who don't live in the Toronto area. And I invite everyone to go and apply.
Okay, yeah, that's great. And so I noticed that like you held a lot of positions throughout your entire career and such. And so was it difficult to transition from like a mediator to having your business, or to working at a court clerk? Like, was it difficult to sort of adjust into all these positions, or how was the adjustment of them?
Well, that's a good question. So the only thing that I still need to work on is the time management. So because I work full time, and I have my business on the side, and I have my podcast, and I have a lot of other opportunities that I'm involved in that I'll mention later on. That part is a little difficult for me to juggle it, because when I'm at work 9 to 5, I'm at work 9 to 5. So all the different positions that I have done just brings more experience to my background. So some of the positions, actually, you know what? I'll start where I started. So I started at a law firm in Brampton, small law firm in Brampton. It's called Lockyer and Hine right now. Then I went to work for Samsung, so that's in-house. So it was just myself and 2 lawyers there at Samsung. So Samsung's now currently in Mississauga. So going from law firm to like in-house at Samsung, that's different, like completely different, both amazing experiences. After that, I went to work in the courts, and then I did that for a number of years. And then after that, I left and went to go work at Metrolinx. Then I worked at Toronto Community Housing, and now I'm in the Provincial Offences Court. So all of those experiences, actually I missed one. So I was process serving in between. So in between school and, in between these, I process served. So I'm not too sure if everyone's clear with what process serving is, because they have their own stigma as well, but they just deliver documents from law firms or from people that are commencing legal proceedings against that person to make sure that they receive the documents and that they're served. I think for someone who is starting off in the legal career, not only is working in the courts a good idea if you want to become a lawyer or licensed paralegal, but starting small, like process serving, going to these little process serving companies, or some of these legal firms have process servers, they hire students to do these types of things, I think is a great idea. You'll learn, the deadlines and the timelines for the courts, because you have to return the documents to the person that gave them to you within a certain amount of time so that they can file them with the courts. You can look at the documents, statement of claim. That was the first time I saw a statement of claim and what it contained, what it looked like. Some of them were like small, some of them were really big. Just to familiarize myself with the court documents. That's definitely something you're going to want to do. So process serving, even though it was kind of compared to working at somewhere like Metrolinx or Toronto Community Housing, just an experience like that definitely added to my, legal document experience. So I would also suggest for legal students, if they're looking for a part-time job, it's summertime now, and or even in school. After school, you can process serve for a few hours. You make a couple of extra dollars to save for school, and you're learning along the way. I think that's all I could say about that. I've had a lot of different experiences. So in Toronto Community Housing, that's like landlord and tenant. So that's something that lawyers can do, paralegals can do. At Metrolinx, I was in their tribunal. So Metrolinx has their whole tribunal where paralegals can work, lawyers can work. They have their own officers that give tickets and stuff like that. It's a whole different, ball game when you're going to somewhere like Metrolinx compared to the criminal courts. Where did I work? Oh, the courts. So I worked in Ontario Court, Superior Court, Small Claims Court. So that's what I did when I worked for the Attorney General. And all of that was just amazing experiences. The people that worked there, the judges that worked there, the court clerks, the court services officers, anybody that's worked with me, anybody that I've worked with, they're amazing people in these positions.
Yeah, no, for sure. I was wondering if we can touch on how you worked at the Ontario Superior Court. That's amazing. Like, I'd like to know more about that. How
Of
was
course.
it? Did you like it? How
Oh,
was your
I loved it.
experience?
I loved it. I didn't want to leave. The only reason why I left is because it wasn't giving me the full-time opportunity that I needed. So then I left and then focused more on my business, focused more on the mediation and that kind of stuff. So I did that when I left, but I loved working at the Superior Court. That's why I invite everybody who wants to be a lawyer. You could still be a lawyer. I worked with someone in the Superior Court. She was going through law school and then she left and then she's a lawyer now. And I remember sitting on, like, I'm not on the bench, I'm on the lower bench behind, in front of the judge. And I remember her appearing before me and the judge. And I knew who she was because I worked with her like several months prior. So it's nice to see, and it's a good experience to have. Just to know what goes on in the courts behind the bench, to say, in order to, that will give you a different experience when either if you're going into your own practice or if you're working at a firm. So I know in my business, when I'm speaking to paralegals and lawyers, I know what the courts are looking for. I know what the documents they're looking for. I know how many copies you need to make, pre-COVID, of course, and all of those things that, you know, someone who didn't work on that side wouldn't really know. They would be asking those types of questions. I definitely encourage students to take a look at that website and apply. It's a great experience, and you don't have to stay there forever like me. you could leave, and you could actually work for the Attorney General as a lawyer. So you could start off as a clerk, go through school, and then leave that position, but get hired into another position. You could work as a Crown Attorney for the Ontario government. There's so many things that you can do, and I know a lot because being in that position, you make connections. So you make connections with the prosecutors, with the opposing counsel lawyers that come in, the paralegals that come in. It's an amazing experience.
Yeah, no, for sure. I'll definitely be checking out that website because I didn't realize that like you didn't need a specific you didn't need like a law degree or something to
No.
go into these fields, which is amazing. Like, and it's such a great way to get experience and to make connections in that field and to sort of experience it firsthand as well.
Right. And then it opens the door for more opportunities. So the provincial government hires not even lawyers just for the Attorney General. You could go and work for us, the Ministry of Solicitor General. You can work for any other ministry as a lawyer or as a legal professional. So every ministry needs that. So if you get in one way, there's so many opportunities that you can get into. And that's something that they kind of don't tell you in school. So even at the college level, they don't tell you that. They don't say, oh, hey, you could go work for Metrolinx. They hire paralegals, they hire licensed paralegals, they hire law clerks, they hire lawyers. You could go work for Toronto Community Housing. They hire lawyers, they hire paralegals. You could go work for the government. They hire everybody. They just kind of lead you down this path where you're going to a criminal court or where you're going to, and that's not what it is. So definitely my platform is to let other legal professionals know that there is so much more out there than just criminal law and Bay Street law firms. Not that there's anything wrong with that, because I was on Bay Street myself with the Ministry of Attorney General. There's nothing wrong with that, but there's just way more opportunities. So there's room for everybody.
Oh yeah, for sure. And like a lot of schools, like law schools and just undergrad schools, they really focus on theories and just theoretical based. Like I know law students right now who say you don't actually learn how to practice law in law school. You just sort of know all the theories and everything, but they don't actually tell you what to do with that information to work with it and how to use that information at a law firm. And I'm like, that's kind of concerning.
Right. It is. I'm not going to comment more on that. But what I want to do with my platform is show students that there's other ways you can get that education and you can get that information in order to grow yourself and make yourself into someone that knows this information, right? You know, you need the school, you need the education, but you also need the experiences. And that's why I'm so happy to be here today, because I have some more experiences that I can offer, other than, you know, going to do some process serving to make a little extra cash. And what was the other thing that I said? So process serving and applying to the Ontario courts. It's not necessarily a full-time position, just to let you know. So
Okay.
not all the positions are full-time. You can kind of work the schedule around that kind of thing.
I feel like that'd be great just for because a lot of us are students, and so like
Yeah,
if it's not full time, it'd be great to balance out school and that as well.
yeah, I've been there. So it's definitely something you can do.
Yeah, for sure. And so, looking at your experience, you obviously have amazing experience, and just it was incredible
Thanks.
looking at it. And so, I saw that you worked for the Ontario Ministry of Attorney General. So, I was wondering if you
Mhm.
can elaborate on what that was like for you.
Okay, so that's when I worked in the courts. So, like I said, I worked at 361 University and Old City Hall. So that's Queen Street, 60 Queen Street West. So Old City Hall is on the Ontario Court of Justice. I worked there for a bit, and that was amazing. So with the Ontario Court of Justice, and I'll flip back to the Superior Court, you work with justices of the peace. So, and justice of the peace is something that, you know, that could be considered by law students. Probably not right now, because you guys are still going through school, you're finishing and that kind of stuff. But that's definitely something you can consider as well. You don't need a law degree to be a justice of the peace. Um, so with the justice of the peace, we attend those courts, and I was a clerk in those courts. I also did some court reporting. Um, what else did I do? That's pretty much it. So you're just attending court all day, every day. And it's not boring to me. That's never boring. I love the court so much, I left and came back. So it's the people that you meet, even the members of the public, you know, it's the people that you meet, the experiences that you have, the coworkers, everybody that I've worked with has been amazing. So that was my Ontario court experience. I also briefly mentioned that I did work on Bay Street. So I worked in for the Ontario Attorney General in the civil law. So I worked for these lawyers that assisted ministries who are involved in legal action. So some of them, well, one of the ministries that I assisted these lawyers with was Solicitor General. So if someone is suing or commencing a legal action against the Solicitor General, that's where these lawyers step in. That law firm was really fun to work at. Really, really fun. That was on Bay Street there. So I have nothing wrong with, no issues with Bay Street lawyers or Bay Street firms. Amazing. That was an amazing experience. And that's one thing about working for the government, where you can second to different places. You can work at different places and come back. You can go there and come back, and just get all of this amazing experience that you could talk to students about.
Yeah, for sure. And so now you currently work at the City of Brampton on Provincial Offence Act Court Services. And so
Yeah.
can you elaborate more on that one and sort of what the responsibilities entail and such?
So it's pretty much the same. The courts have now kind of taken all of their positions and put it into one. So I'm pretty much doing everything there. Scheduling, talking to people on the phone, helping people at the front desk, and I'm in the courts. So this court, I haven't been working at the courthouses since the pandemic, but this court doesn't have Zoom stuff yet. So they're still kind of working over the phone, that kind of stuff. And we're just waiting for the government to tell us what to do, whether we're going to go back in person. I did go into the courts, and they're set up for in-person litigation. So there's big TV, there's it's divided into sections, everyone's protected by this plexiglass, and that's pretty much it. So with provincial offenses, I mean, you know, as a lawyer, you could represent your client in provincial offenses, and you can also represent your client in provincial offenses as a paralegal, licensed paralegal. So there's not much to say. It's pretty much the same thing that I was doing when I was working for the Attorney General.
Okay,
That's
yeah,
pretty much it. Yeah.
that's great. And so, you said how like right now some of the courts they're kind of done over the phone instead of Zoom, and so how is that going like remotely?
Oh my God. Oh, it's crazy. It's
Mhm,
crazy. So I don't know. I can't speak too much about it because I have my own opinions. But
mhm,
it's crazy. It's really crazy. It's really hard to assist people that aren't able to do something like what we're doing today. They're not able to, you know, function the computer or whatever it may be.
mhm.
So that's why, you know, the phone call is easier. We're backed up. So I'm sure all the courts are going to be backed up. The appeals court that's not open yet, that one's going to be backed up with procedures because, I mean, I wasn't working in the courts at this time of COVID, but I was told that everybody went home for a certain period of time. So things stopped dead in its tracks at a certain period of time. Nobody was able to do anything. So there's still some catching up to do because of that. And there's some good stuff and some bad stuff when it comes to it. COVID, oh my gosh, it's like crazy. It's messed everything up, but we're all backed up.
Mhm.
We're not booking dates, trial dates until about December of this year. Sometimes some people have dates in 2022 already. So
Wow.
yeah, it's
Yeah, no,
pretty
hopefully
crazy.
things can get back on track soon, hopefully.
Hopefully,
But yeah.
hopefully.
And so pre-COVID, what did your typical day in your career look like in terms of like your responsibilities and tasks?
So pre-COVID, so for my business or for, you know, my 9 to 5?
You can do both of them actually.
Okay, so um for my 9 to 5, I don't
Mhm,
even remember where I was pre-COVID. I think I was um I don't know, maybe we'll just talk about my business because, you know, with your regular job, that's what you do. You just go to work, do whatever you
mhm,
need to do, and then go home. So with my business, I was going into hearings and contracting myself as a reporter or as a note taker for that. Um, Around COVID time, I was getting a lot of my education. So, a lot of my mediation stuff and catching up on that, doing some refreshers, that kind of stuff. That's pretty much what I was doing there. Super, keeping myself super busy with that.
yeah, for sure. And did you want to elaborate more on like what your typical day now looks like from your 9 to 5 job today?
Oh, it's not that exciting. It's not that exciting, but I can talk about kind of what I'm doing behind the scenes. So a lot of my stuff that I'm doing that is kind of, I feel really good, is stuff that I'm doing that I volunteer for. So that's one of the things that another one of the things that I would recommend to the students to volunteer. So I'm currently board chair of North Peel and Dufferin Community Legal Clinic, their board of directors. So we are looking for board of director members. We'll be looking in September. So this legal clinic is in Brampton. So you can follow me and you can check that out to see if that's right for you. So I also sit on the oh my gosh, where are my words going? So I'm also the executive for the, oh my gosh, I don't know where my words are going.
No worries, it's all good.
So I also sit on the, oh my gosh, I hope they don't see this, of the ACLCO. So the ACLCO is the Association of Community Legal Clinics of Ontario. So I sit on that executive, which they try to work with Legal Aid Ontario and the Ministry of Attorney General, as well as others, to assist the community legal clinics in Ontario. So I also invite the students to check out the community legal clinics, as there is one, I believe, in Osgood. There is a mediation clinic there, a legal clinic there. Don't quote me on that, but there is one over there that students should check out over there. I also write for FIDRIO, which is the Family Dispute Resolution Institute of Ontario. So I'm a volunteer writer for their newsletter. I contribute monthly to that. So I think it's very important to volunteer your time. So this is where I keep myself busy with these initiatives and things like that. I also, oh, there's a question. Hello. Do you have to be a law student to volunteer there, or can undergrad students volunteer there too? So I'm assuming you're asking about the legal clinics. So that's a good question. I don't want to give the wrong answer, but I would invite you to connect. They're on social media. So to connect with the community clinic, the one at Osgood, and see if you could volunteer there. I'm sure they would love students to volunteer there. I believe that's what it's there for. Don't quote me on that, but maybe if you want to reach out to me, I can help connect you. I can help connect you with them. That's a good question. Thank you for that.
Oh yeah, for sure. Thank you for that.
No problem.
And so I guess using that advice, what advice would you give to your younger self, like who's in their undergrad?
So the advice that I would have given to my younger self, because I took quite a long time to do these types of things, it would be to follow my heart. So I had this, intuition or this inkling that said, okay, you should do this. And then something popped up and I ended up doing that. But I should have paid attention to that a little bit more, because I feel that I could, I don't know, everything happens for a reason, but I just wish that I didn't go somewhere else and then kind of, hey, remember, like, hey, this is what I like, this is what I'm interested, this is where my heart is. I wish that I did that. So I have some advice that I would give to the future generation for legal professionals as well. One of them would be to not be scared, to take courses of your interest that may not even be, you may not even think that would fit, but if you're interested in it, just take it. You'll never know when you're going to need it in the future. I also said to volunteer. So I have some opportunities opening up at the legal clinic that I'm the chair of the board. And I'm also a member of DEDRIC. So this is a nonprofit organization that's coming up. So DEDRIC is the Diverse Dispute Resolution Institute of Canada. And it's a nonprofit organization. It's offering access to justice to communities in Canada and the US. And it's nonprofit, and it's the first of its kind in Canada, and has taken the leap to build a structure that is accessible by all communities in Canada, including those from marginalized communities. DEDRIC offers arbitration and mediation services by highly qualified, diverse ADR professionals with extensive training and cultural competencies, awareness, and understanding. So DEDRIC is looking for, I did have my presentation here, but I'll just, read from it. So DEDRIC is looking for students. Maybe I will share this because I want people to see it.
Ahead.
I should know how to do this by now. Where is it? Just one moment.
Of course.
Oh, you disabled screen sharing for me.
Oh, did I?
So if you, yeah, so if you can put that back on.
Hold on.
Let's
Can you
see.
try now?
Yeah, let me take a look.
Okay.
Okay, there it is. So let me find. Hold on one moment.
Yeah, of course.
There it is. So Diedrich is now looking for students that are looking for learning opportunities, workshops, negotiation competitions to further their education in mediation and arbitration. So we're looking for, the advisory committee is looking for, is recruiting students, and the information is here. They're looking for a one-year term, and agree to meet twice a month. So it's part-time, it could work around your schedule. We're looking for applications to be submitted by July 17th. And it can be found, the information can be found on the website. I invite you all to ask questions. Gabrielle is amazing, so you can ask her questions, and hopefully you can join. As you can see by my experience that, you know, I'm all about new opportunities and new learning experiences, because it just makes you a more fulsome person, professional, when you're offering services to clients. And mediation and arbitration is definitely something that is necessary, I think, even for lawyers as well. So I invite everyone to take a look at this. If you want more information or you're interested, because I don't think anybody can click on anything, you can contact me and I can forward you to the right person.
Okay, yes, that's great. Thank you so much. And
No problem.
you also had other opportunities, you said. Was this the opportunity, or was there another thing that you mentioned earlier?
Yeah, so this was the opportunity
Oh, okay.
for students. Yeah, so this was the opportunity. The other opportunity is my board of directors. We're looking for more directors, and we'll be scouting for directors in September. You know, process serving is something that students can get into. And working for the Attorney General in the courts is definitely something that you all can benefit from, for sure.
Okay, yeah, sounds great. And I noticed that you had a slideshow. So was there anything else you wanted to share in that slide that maybe wasn't covered during the interview?
That's a good question. Let me just take a look.
Yeah, of course.
No, it looks like we covered everything.
Okay, great.
The only
And
thing, yeah, sorry.
yeah, sorry, no, go ahead.
So this is the only other thing I wanted to add. Just my contact information. So my Instagram is KLegal. Sorry.
No worries.
So my Instagram is, it always does that when I share my screen. It just freezes and shuts down.
No, it's okay. Don't worry about that.
I was gone again.
Okay.
So I'll stop sharing.
Okay, yeah, sounds good. And we'll be sharing them, like when we posted the Instagram post of you in the session, we had your information on there, and like we had you tagged as well. So if students ever want
Perfect.
to reach out to you, they can always reach you from there. And I do have a question that kind of I stood out to me now. And so, during your mediation career, was there any case that sort of stood out to you?
Sorry about that.
Oh, sorry. Can you hear me now?
It always does that. Yeah, it always does that for me
Okay.
when I share my screen. That's why I didn't share for the presentation, not because I didn't have
Hmm.
it set up, but because
Hmm.
on Zoom, it gives me trouble.
Oh my God. Yeah. No
Um,
worries.
Sorry about
Um.
that, but you were saying.
Yeah. No. This kind of just remembering it now, but it's like throughout your mediation career, was there any specific case that sort of stood out to you, or like a unique
Um,
case that you might have had?
no, nothing unique, just people having disagreements and wanting to, some of them wanting to figure it out. Um, you know, dealing with conflict and other people's conflict and figuring out the dynamics to the conflict is definitely a skill that everybody should have. So I use these, well, I try to use these skills in my own personal life. It's a skill, de-escalating, that kind of stuff. It's definitely skills that you need if you're representing clients and landlord and tenant, or even criminal. You're representing clients that are in tense situations, that are reacting a certain way because of what's going on. And it may project onto you, because they may be angry with you or frustrated, or because of what's going on. And it's important to know how to break that down, and to be able to negotiate, or try to speak to the person or the people or the parties involved, in order to get them to break through what it is that they're thinking, and to try and think another way.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's very important.
Yeah, no, for
I
sure.
hope I
Thank you.
answered your question.
Yeah, yeah, no, no, for sure you
Okay.
did. And so, do you ever find yourself, like, for instance, if you have like mediation cases where the clients are like really angry and such, do you find that like it sort of affects your mood, and like how do you break that apart, your personal life versus your work life? Like, how do you separate those?
That's a good question. And that's what the training is about, because we're all human at the end of the day.
Hmm.
So if someone's getting angry with me, the human instinct is to kind of be, um, you know, not aggressive. That's not the word that I want to use, but to defend, right? So when you're going through these mediation courses, and you're going through that, it teaches you how to step back, try not to take things personally. And even in this field, you can't take things personally.
Hmm.
You have to kind of just let things roll off of your shoulder, or roll off of your back, because of the nature of what you're doing. You're dealing with angry people, you're dealing with people in situations that, aren't ideal. So you have to try and step back. That's definitely something that you can learn, because we're all human and we will all react a certain way. So that's why I take these courses and many other courses that aren't on my Instagram or on my uh, um, social media yet. I will be letting everybody know the types of courses that I'm taking. So for other people to be able to take those courses, to help them become a better legal professional.
Yeah, for sure. So thank you so much for that. If anybody has any final questions before we wrap up, because we are getting close to the hour, um, you can just type them in the chat. So I'll give you next minute or so.
Um,
All right. So I think that is it then. So
oh, great.
Kayla,
That's no
thank you
problem.
so much for for being here and taking time out of your busy day to be here. It was really, really informative, and all the resources that you gave us, all the opportunities you provided for us, they've been absolutely incredible. So thank you so much for being here.
I want to thank you all for having me. I just want to let everyone know, I was in your situation as well. And what I'm trying to do with my platform right now is just to help people like younger me. I think you all are younger me. And, you know, some of the things that I wasn't told until, pardon me, later on in my career, I'm definitely willing to share with with anyone and everyone. So you can follow my platform to find out more information, or you could always reach out to me if you have any questions. I'll be available. Thank you
Okay,
so
that's
much for
great. Thank
having
you
me.
so much.